Okay, bonjour. This is the first actual video in which I will teach you maths. You will get used to this way of teaching, I hope, pretty soon. We start with a few chapters from the last book, Transmath 4, because I learnt that there were 7 chapters in this book that you haven't done in any detail. These chapters are all these nombres et calcul in this section, chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So these 7 chapters, as I understand it, you have finished, you have done. When I say done, you have studied these chapters 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Now, I need one of you to confirm that you have finished this chapter also, grandeur et mesure, in this section, étudier des grandeurs, produits ou quotients. So, if you have done it, then I will not go through it. If you have not done it, then I will add it to the 7 chapters that we will do. So, before we start the book for the EABP 3. There is also an algorithmic et programmation chapter. These have to do with programming, and there is one similar chapter in class the troisième also, and we will probably avoid that too because we don't have the resources to study this in class. Of course, if we have time, I will teach you a few extra topics, and in that I might give you a small introduction to algorithms and programming. In my introduction earlier, the first introductory video, I forgot to mention that I have done a lot of computer programming in my time. That was several years ago, and I have written computer programs which were as long as 30,000 lines of code. I no longer program, however. Okay, so now we come to this chapter, reconnaître un multiple ou un diviseur. And I'm sorry if you find this very simple and easy, we'll go through it very fast. I really don't know what your level is. I haven't interacted with you. In fact, other than the last 3 or 4 days, don't even know who you are. So what I will do is I will introduce this chapter to you, explain, give some examples in this video, and then I will ask you to do some problems from this chapter, and based on how easily you do them, how correctly you do them, we'll go fast or we'll go slow. And this is for all the 7 chapters in this book. Don't worry, I think we can finish this in less than a month, and that is the amount of time I usually set aside every year to just do a revision of what you have learned in the previous year. So we will not lose much time doing this. Okay. Now, in this Transmath book, as in the book that we will do for this actual year, the most important page is this page in the chapter, J'apprends le cours. In every chapter there is 1 or 2 pages of J'apprends le cours, and it tells you what you're going to learn in this chapter. So here there are 3 distinct topics: division Euclidean, multiple et diviseur d'un nombre, and critères de divisibilité. So we will look at all of these 3, starting right now with the division Euclidean. And now I will shift to English and French both. So I'll read this out to you, the definition, and you'll see it's quite complicated. French is not an easy language to explain things, in my opinion, but when I explain it to you in my notebook in English, things will become dramatically clearer. Effectuer la division euclidienne d'un nombre entier A, which is known as le dividende, par un nombre entier B, le diviseur, différent de 0, c'est trouver d'un nombre entier le quotient Q et le reste R, tel que A est égal à Q fois B plus R, où R est plus petit que B. Okay, that's a lot of French words written in a little bit of a complicated manner, and now we'll come to my notebook. So, Euclidean division in English, when you dividing one integer by another to get a quotient and a remainder. A remainder is what is known as le reste. When you divide something and whatever is left, you call it a remainder. In French, you call it le reste. Okay, reste en français. So we'll get an idea of what this is. Of course, two things have to be defined here. We will do that in just a minute. So if I take 13 divided by 5, what do I get? 13 divided by 5 will give me 2.6. Yeah, my phone is funny. Sometimes it takes a little time to focus. We'll have to get used to it. I'm thinking of getting a new phone. So 13 divided by 5 is equal to 2.6. You plug this into your calculator, you'll get this. If you do it in your head, you'll get this. Now, let me pause, take a little time here to explain why I'm writing the virgule C's and I'm reading it as 2.6. So, in all my writing and in all your writing, the decimal is represented by a virgule, by a comma, which is how it is in French. So remember, all our writing will be in French, even though mine will be both English and French at the same time. So when I write this in French, you should read it as the virgule C's. In English, you read it as 2.6 because the virgule and this virgule represents a decimal point. It doesn't represent the thousands separator. In English, in thousand separators, every 3 digits you put a comma. Your calculator also shows that. That is not what you have to think this is. This is just a decimal point. Okay, now that I've got it out of the way, so 13 divided by 5 will give us 2.6. But a Euclidean division named after the famous Greek mathematician, there are a number of famous Greek mathematicians, but Euclid is one of the more famous among the many famous ones. Though it's called Euclidean division, though there is some thought that he wasn't actually even aware of what is now named after him. Anyway, so here what you get is, if you divide 13 by 5, you get a quotient. This is an arrow, sorry, not an equal sign. You get a quotient of 2. What is quotient? Well, remember here, c'est trouver d'un nombre entier le quotient Q et le reste R. This is the quotient 2. So, and the remainder 3. So basically, where do we get this quotient from? This is this 2. Basically, what is on the left of the decimal point. You just write that there. And how do we get 3? Well, 3 is what remains. If you take 2 times 5, you get 13. 2 times 5 is 10. And when you subtract 10 from 13, you get 3. So basically, you get 13 is equal to 2 into 5, 2 into 5, 2 into 5, plus 3 remainder. So if I write it in as letters, A over B leads to A is equal to QB plus R, where Q is the quotient, R is the remainder. And there is one condition, two conditions actually. B cannot be 0. This sign of course means does not equal 0, because you cannot divide a number by 0. Division is not defined for if you try to divide by 0. It has no meaning. And that R has to be less than B. So if you took 13 over 5, you could also write it as 1 into 5 plus 8. But that is not the correct Euclidean division, because quotient then in that case would be 1 and remainder would be 8. But remainder always has to be less than this. So basically what you're doing is from 13 you're subtracting 5 as many times as you can. In this case you subtract it twice, and whatever remains which you can't subtract 5 from, is the remainder. So let's take another example. How do we calculate this? Let's take 35 divided by 12. So the first step is you divide 35 by 12 normally. Do it in your calculator, you'll get 2.917. Actually, you'll get 2.9166666, but I've rounded it to 2.917. So straight away you can say the quotient is Q, the quotient is 2. In French, it's pronounced quotient. So now we calculate 12 into Q, that is 12 into 2 is 24. So this accounts for 24 out of the 35. Subtract from 35, 35 minus 24, you get 11, that is the remainder. So 35 over 12 leads to a quotient of 2 and a remainder of 11. This is the same way if you do long division. If you have two numbers, if I divide a number like 1080 by, let's say 16. So then when you do, you will get a number here and finally you will get a remainder that you cannot, that is smaller than 16. So basically the quotient is this and the remainder is that. Whatever, you don't put a decimal point there. You could by adding a 0 and then dividing by 16. But no, this is the quotient, this is the remainder in the case of Euclidean division. Okay, so that is the first part of this division Euclidean. We will do a few problems like this. It's so simple. I mean, I even as I'm speaking it, these 12 minutes that I've been speaking, I think this sounds so complicated, but actually it's so simple. Okay, now we come to multiple divisor d'un nombre. Un nombre entier. By the way, here I use dividing one integer by another. What is integer? Integer simply is the English word for nombre entier. Nombre entier is a number like 2, 5, 13, 35, 12. What is not a nombre entier? 35.12, 12.67. These are not nombre entier. Though with 2.917 is not a nombre entier. Integer is a number that doesn't have anything after the decimal point. Okay, so we come to multiple divisor d'un nombre. So un nombre entier A est un multiple d'un nombre entier B où B n'est pas égal à 0 lorsque le reste de la division euclidienne de A par B est 0. Okay, that's a very exact way of saying that A is a multiple of B when B divides A without leaving any remainder. Okay, then we can also say that B is a divisor de A où que A est divisible par B. So they give example 48 a multiple de 12 car 48 is equal to 4 into 12. No remainder is necessary here. 0 is a multiple de tout nombre entier. So because if any number this is true because any number you multiply by 0, you will not get a remainder. Okay, so now we come to, let me turn the page, multiple divisor. See A sur B, okay, in English, if A over B leads to a remainder equals 0, then A is a multiple of B, multiple en français, and B is a divisor en français of A. And also you say A is divisible by B, in French, divisible. So, I take the same example, 48 over 12, quotient est 4, remainder is 0. Donc, 48 is a multiple of 12. You know all this, by the way. And 12 is a divisor in French, divisor in English of 48. And 48 is divisible by 12, 48 is divisible by 12. Divisible en français, divisible in English. Okay. So that is to do with this. You know this already. I'm sure you do. And then the final part in this chapter is critère de divisibilité. A nombre entier est divisible, that is an integer. Remember, un nombre entier est divisible par 2 lorsque son chiffre de unité est 0, 2, 4, 6 ou 8. What is chiffre des unités? It means the last digit, the digit on the right of. So basically it means that any number is divisible by 2 when it is a pair numbers. It ends in 0, 2, 4, 6 or 8. Similarly, so here I've written down, it's divisible by 2, this number. Let's get the focus in. Sometimes it takes time. I have to get a new phone. There we go. So divisible by 2, pair number, last digit is 0, 2, 4, 6 or 8. These are commas, these are not decimal points. And divisible by 5 when the last digit is equal to 0 or 5, not 0.5, 0, comma 5. And by 10 when the last digit is equal to 0. These are so common. Oh, by the way, I'm speaking quite fast, but remember this is on YouTube. You can use YouTube to pause, rewind, and if I say something very fast, you can go back over it. YouTube also has a feature where you can speed up the video and slow it down if you so feel. And then here they have one more criteria. Criteria simply means conditions of divisibility. Is that a nombre entier divisible par 4. This I didn't write in English in my notebook. I got bored. Is a number, an integer is divisible by 4 when the last 2 digits are divisible by 4. This is so simple because after that it is multiples of 100, and if 100 is of course divisible by 4. And an integer is divisible by 3 when the sum of its digits is divisible by 3. This is this also you probably learned, but this is a little difficult to prove, but we can do it. And a number is divisible by 9 lorsque la somme de ces chiffres est divisible par 9. This is once you prove that, this becomes a little simpler. So these things you have to remember. I'm just showing it to you just in case we do problems that require this. Okay. So now let's turn the page. That's it. That's the lesson for chapter number 1. Now we'll do a few problems, and one problem I will do for you in my notebook, and then I'll give you some problems to do and submit as homework. Those problems I will not give you within the video. I will give them to you as photos in WhatsApp, and that assignment will be graded. Okay, so we'll do this problem. Un apiculteur doit transporter 800 pots de 1 kilogram de miel. What is an apiculteur? It is a beekeeper or a honey maker. A beekeeper has to ship or transport 800 pots of 1 kg of honey. 800 pots, so totally 800 kgs, but this 1 kg really is not necessary in this problem. The pots les pots sont rangés le plus possible dans des cartons sur 3 étages de 16 pots chacun. So the pots are packed as much as possible. They fill a carton. Carton is just a large box, as you get from Amazon. That's called a carton. In that you can have 3 layers of 16 pots each. So after you put these in these pots, the remaining pots are put in a smaller carton. Combien de pots de miel seront dans le plus petit carton? Les pots restants sont dans un petit carton. Combien de pots de miel seront dans le plus petit carton? So this is so simple. You've already saying, why is Kimda making us read all this? But I want to show you how you should write it correctly. So first thing is, when you do a problem, you don't really need to copy the problem, because that's simply a waste of your time and a waste of paper and ink. So just write down the number clearly. So I say par hypothèse, on peut ranger. Par hypothèse meaning, what does hypothèse mean? Hypothèse means the information given to you. So par hypothèse, that means the information given to you in the problem. On peut ranger 3 étages de 16 pots dans chaque carton. Donc la capacité de chaque carton est égale à 16 fois 3 est égale à 48 pots. Because in each carton you can put 3 layers of 16 pots, not pots, yes, jars. Actually, pot means jars in English. So you put, we are talking of honey, so this is jars, so you can put 48 pots, 48 pots. Nombre de pots total, 800. Nombre de cartons nécessaires. So you do 800 divided by 48 because 800 pots are there. 48 pots fit inside a carton. Jars. 48 po. So he gives us 16.6666 repeating 6. So many cartons are required. But of course you cannot have fractional boxes. So you say, donc on a besoin de 16 cartons. You require 16. This is, remember, this is the quotient. So, and how what remains? Rest the po. That is not POB, it is POTS. Maybe I should write that clearly. I should set a good example. Some of your handwritings are really bad, huh? So 800 minus 16 into 48, because this is what will go into 16 cartons, you get 32. So 32 is the number of remaining pots. Donc on a besoin de 16 cartons grands et un petit carton pour 32 pots. So the answer of this is, combien de pots de miel seront dans le plus petit carton? The answer is un petit carton pour 32 pots. So see, I put a box here. I would want you to put a box in every problem. The answer, whenever you find an answer, you put a box, so that easily I can check whether you've got the answer correct, and then I need to see whether you've done it correctly, you've used the correct method or not. Okay, so I will end the video here. In this video there is no in-video problem, because you have to watch this video before you can do the 4 problems I'll give to you from the book. That you have to submit to me, and that assignment will be graded. Okay, I will give you the how much time you have to do that, all that, when I post the problems on the group. Okay, I stop here, and if you have any problems, please WhatsApp me. If you have any questions, please WhatsApp me, please call me. But do realize that I have other responsibilities. I may not be able to take your call immediately. I may not be able to respond to your text immediately. So in that case, what you have to do is you have to just wait. So that is why I always recommend that don't wait until the last moment to start the homework, because if I say, okay, you have to send it to me at 9 p.m. by 9 p.m. on a particular day, and if you start at 8 p.m. you might find that, oh, you're not understood something, and if you contact me and I may not be available, then you will miss the deadline. And I am very, very strict about my deadline. So if I say you have to deliver the homework by this time, then you do so. If you can't do so, you will get an X for that assignment. Remember, my grading scale is from A plus to E minus. There is one also called X, which means did not submit. Okay, so I stop here. Rewatch this video if you really need to. I don't think you would need to do so, but if you want to, please do.